From our research and planning, in which we studied numerous texts of our genre, we identified loads of similarities and conventions that were used in music videos. The conventions of music videos which were similar to our genre included dark hues, which were involving of color grading, and we also found that they had videos which were the full length of the song or were slightly extended to carry on the narrative. Also, we found that there was always a pace, so the cutting and also generally the editing would be based upon the pace of the song. Also, there would be a narrative throughout the whole of the video, and that can cross-cut between the performance and the narrative itself. And also, we found that there were very, very clear story bits whenever there was cross-cutting.
Our music video was a conventional piece as we follow some of these. We did have slight differences to make it stand out and controversial. We chose to use an alternative song, which is why we had to follow the conventions to establish the genre for the audience. One of the things that we chose to do was to use a hybrid narrative with equal parts of narrative and performance. This we felt tied in heavily with the uses of the conventions. We decided that we would use color grading to emphasize the dark tones as we had seen in our research. This helped us to create a sense of familiarity for the audience.
At the same time, we didn't follow the conventions that were laid out as we felt we wanted to create some controversy, as we wanted to stand out from the crowd, as it would increase the interest within the audience. Steve Neal's theory states that genres are instances of repetition and differences. So we knew we had to differentiate from what was on the market. We didn't use the white female as a protagonist as we wanted to change things up and use an actor of a different ethnicity. We used an Asian actor for our production as we didn't see a main protagonist of that ethnicity in other media texts. We also wanted to change the main antagonist from the conventions as we used an Asian male who was the father to blur the lines between the antagonist and protagonist. Again, we used this as we wanted our music video to be original and not repeat everything we had seen in other media texts.
In our production, we also used many theories of theorists, one of them being Vladimir Prop. And with his particular theory, we found that there were some functions that applied to us, but the main one was absentation, which is the first function from his 31 functions. But the thing with this function was that we actually adopted it to our text, so that the lead character also follows this function as well as the father, and that even though it's through both perspectives, through a protagonist and an antagonist, it still fits in really well with us. And again, with the characterizations that Prop did, we also found that the protagonist doubles. So she plays the role of the princess, and at the same time she's also the hero as she is the protagonist. Another theorist that we also included in our production was Todorov and his theory of equilibrium. We follow the whole circle of equilibrium in our text, and we also found that in our text, we also used the theory of equilibrium, which is Todorov's theory, and we followed the circle of equilibrium throughout from beginning to end. So we had the theory of equilibrium followed by the disruption to the equilibrium in the entire text. So that is when our main protagonist comes across the memories of her father abusing her. We also follow this on to the recognition and the attempt to repair the damage, where she visits the graveyard, and this follows on to the new equilibrium, where the audience are appeased by the end result, where she is content and finds closure. So, following on from our theories, one of our main ones that we wanted to flout was Laura Mulvey's theory of the male gaze, as we presented the female lead in our text as independent and strong. Actually, we had two female leads, so we had the protagonist as well as the lead singer. So we presented the protagonist as the independent type, as she was able to move out and away from her father's abuse. But at the same time, we also presented the fact that she had an emotional side, and there was no need to exploit her body to actually show this throughout. We also had the female lead in our text, and again, it was the same thing. We did not exploit the idea of a female's body, and we just continued to try and present her as independent and strong.
So we just decided that we'd avoid the male gaze conventions but stick to the idea of having an independent feminist lead.
A theorist that would link to our music production would be Levi Strauss and his binary opposites. This links to our music video as we show the themes of light and dark and life and death.
This means our video can be classified as belonging to a hybrid genre of narrative performances as we consistently cross-cut between the two. This means our audience will look upon our product as something recognizable, as these conventions have consistently been used in media texts such as Foo Fighters' Learn to Fly. Still, we are confident that we have challenged enough conventions in other areas to make our product stand out on the market while using the fundamental conventions to not puzzle our target audience. Our two ancillary tasks were composed of a digipack and a poster. We decided to create these two products as we thought it would appeal more to the uses of audience rather than a website. Unlike our music video, we wanted to stick to the conventions of real-life products as the ancillary task products themselves are more of a tool for our audience to know more about our product. In our research, we only looked at products of similar genre to ours in terms of music, alternative rock.
One of the main reasons we chose a magazine poster was because we found that a lot of our target audience tended to read magazines such as Kerrang and Enemy for information on new music. This would also be a useful tool for billboards, as we found many other real-life artists advertise their albums through that marketing tool as well. The poster allowed us to keep all of the information compact, and it also helped us to advertise whereabouts the album could be bought. Conventions that we found for a magazine are as follows. The first one is that there is always an advert for the area of purchase, so where you could actually buy the album. Second was either a picture of the band or the actual album on the poster. The third is synergy with the theme of music and the album, meaning that if the genre is alternative rock, then the theme should follow, which means darker colors and also gradation. Then also there would be the name of both the album and the band on the poster in bold letters and taking up quite a lot of the space. And generally what we've seen is that the phrase "out now" is always on the actual poster so as to create a sense of urgency. We have added all of these components onto our magazine as a magazine advert, as we wanted our audience to be able to recognize and understand the media.
We didn't want to avoid any of the main conventions and confuse our audience. With the inclusion of these elements, we found that many people found it easier to decode the text and follow the dominant reading. We believe that we have created synergy between our music video and this ancillary product, as we have used elements which show that there is a link between the two, such as the color scheme and the fonts. Our second ancillary task was a digipack. We knew this would be a very crucial for our music video as it is extremely vital to the success of a song. For the album to have an interesting digipack, as we found out from researching real media texts. A poster is also a great promotional tool for our music video, which means a higher chance for the creation of synergy. A poster is also one of the main methods of marketing and music video production. Listed are some of the conventions of the digipack. Artists and bands take up some of the panels as their pictures are on it. Abstract images are often added in to kind of entice the audience. There is always a running theme, such as the color scheme or the whole pictures are in it. The CD slot and the back panel tend to be more interesting. There are always lyrics or some elements of lyrics, as it kind of gives them a hint and a surprise to what the music will entitle.
Our digipack is quite convincing, as we used all of these to create synergy. We wanted to create an attention-grabbing product and not something basic to generate excitement in our audience. We used 5 different photos for our digipack, each one focusing on a different member or on a different element of the band. Our band is also wearing the same clothes from the video, as it would help the audience associate with the two. We decided to make one of our panels different from the rest so that we would be selling an idea rather than the actual band itself. We kept the color scheme similar so that the genre of music can be identified when the music video and digipack are juxtaposed.
From the conventions used in both our ancillary products and our music video, we feel as though we would definitely appeal to our primary audience, which is teenagers. Our secondary audience would be young adults between the ages of 18 and 22. We believe that we would attract teenagers as the main character herself is a teenager, creating that sense of unity. Also, from our audience survey, we found out that our target audience prefers these types of characteristics when addressing this genre.
Another reason we believed our music video would appeal and attract this audience is due to our research of real media text. Our target audience had all watched the majority of music videos within this genre of music. We believe that while our video is relatable to both genders, females might be more appealed by it due to the independence of the female lead singer and the ability to form an element of relatability with the emotional side of the protagonist. While we have male characters on our music video, they do not play as an active role as the protagonist or the lead singer. We haven't adapted many conventions as we mainly chose to stick to or challenge them rather than mold it to our needs.